Hi, I'm Courtney, and I wanted to share with you about how important it is to take care of yourself and to find a connection to the divine right now. And so everyone's talking about the eclipses and how it's this opportunity and this life-changing experience. And it is, in a way, a life-changing experience, but it's up to you to change your life, that nobody else outside of you can change your life. And that's really kind of annoying to think about. So, how do I decide to talk about the eclipse and talk about how it could help you in a way that we don't get caught in the weeds of the astrology, right? How about if this full moon eclipse, right? So you just think about the moon, it's your feelings, it's your emotions, your desire to understand yourself better so that you could have a better life, right? And so it's really intense right now. It's going to be more intense, and all these feelings are coming up. And can you allow yourself to understand what these feelings are telling you that you need, right? I mean, it's we don't want to see these feelings because we don't want to be uncomfortable. But I put this black and white thing because that's exactly what a full moon is. It's very simple in a way, right? We could easily get caught in things that are not simple. But a full moon is when the sun is across from the moon. An eclipse is just makes it much more intense. It makes the feelings much more intense. It wants something to change within you. And we're ending this beautiful experience with Pisces. Now, what is Pisces? Let's simply say Pisces is letting go, surrendering, getting quiet, finding the quiet within so you can connect to yourself, a higher energy. It's also escapism, alcohol, drugs, scrolling, anything that you're doing that could be addictive, right? And pretty much everything is addictive when we get dopamine hits from it. So for instance, let's say we're scrolling and we get an excitement or a dopamine hit. We kind of want to continue that dopamine hit. So we keep going. Or if we drink alcohol, right? You have a sip of alcohol. So you're taking a sip and it tastes good. One sip is actually all you need to get that feeling of feeling calmer. And then the rest of the time you're chasing that feeling. And it actually never has the same feeling again. And so we're really supposed to be aware right now of how we're using drugs, alcohol, the internet, anything we're doing that numbs us from coming into connection with the divine. Because the goal of the Pisces moon is to remember your wholeness. Remember your connection to source energy, to the divine, to God or angels, right? And what does that look like? And that is not outside of you. And so if we were to say high and low, right? High and low Pisces, I can either find the oneness with everybody in the world, or I could find our separateness from everyone in the world, or I could do drugs, I could drink and try to find this connection to spirit, but it won't be true because I need to do it within the quietest of my own heart. Now, here's the problem. Here is where it gets hard. Why are full moons hard? Well, two sides of one coin. The opposite of letting go and surrendering Pisces is Virgo. Okay. And Virgo is the critic. So the sun is in Virgo and Mercury is actually in Virgo. And we can think of Virgo on the higher side is, okay, I'm going to fix things. I'm going to make things better. I'm going to do what it takes to improve my life, my day-to-day life. I'm going to veer towards perfection, right? I mean, again, but the problem is that we can't be perfect, even though we are kind of perfect. That's the whole Pisces thing, is that it's all perfect, it's all divine, it's all happening for us. We're going to surrender. And the Virgo is saying, no, no, don't you see what's wrong? Like, I'm seeing what's wrong. I have to, but if I was to do it higher, I'm going to take a look at my life and my days, and I'm going to see it honestly and say, well, how can I do it better? And that is really the gift of Virgo. I love Virgo people. I love Virgo energy. I think they're so wonderful. It's like they're always trying to make things better, but it's also the critic. So there's this idea of finding fault and blaming. And that doesn't help and improve anything. So if we find a fault, I'll say when the sun shines on we're the sun and it's our vitality, it's where we're giving our energy to. How can I make things better? Right? How can I make things better? If I'm saying all the things that are wrong, I'm just complaining and I'm not making it better. And we have to be very careful of listening to people complain to us and blaming us. We also have to be being careful of seeing what's wrong with everything, right? The mind and our own mind and what we're telling ourselves about what we could have done better, could have done differently, but we can't do that because we're here. And so we're in this moment of time where everything, let's say if everything's happened exactly how it's supposed to happen, and we had no judgment of it, and we simply allowed, and that is what a Pisces is asking us to do. And you see how hard it is, right? Because it feels like such a push and pull, and that is exactly what the full moon is. You could think of the waves and how it's crashing and pulling you out, and it feels like I have no control. And we think of the word lunatic, luna, moon, tick, is we go a little crazy. And so how does somebody not go crazy during a full moon? Well, I'll say, in this full moon, can I get quiet enough to hear this small voice that's connected to something higher? Can I let go and let God? Can I surrender? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And we'll say, you can. Imagine that. Imagine that you allowed the day to be what it was and you learned to surf the waves. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor for this time, right? And it has been actually, but are we listening to the metaphor? It's a beautiful metaphor for this time. Things are going to show up. I can't control it, but I could figure out how to surf the waves. And you can figure out how to surf the waves. So emotion comes up, you allow it to come up and you let it pass. And you don't have to get sucked into the story of it. And now this is where I think this is the opportunity that is amazing, is Uranus, so the planet of change and revolution, and things can change in an instant. And I'll say it could be almost divinely acted. And I'll say, can you imagine if your mind would change? If you could change your mind, if you could have a radically open mind, if you could possibly allow for flexibility for what is and not need it to be any different than it is. Uranus is our ability to individuate. It's our ability to see it from a different perspective. It can change things. Now imagine that we have this push-pull with, okay, you're a divine being with your perfect being, and that you're always just trying to improve yourself in your day-to-day life, right, Virgo, how you're of service. And then you have this space I can break free from this mind that's telling me things. Habits that I've done forever that I don't want anymore. I could let them go and I could bring in source energy. And I really do think this is this opportunity to come back to yourself and change your life in a way. But you don't change your life outside of yourself. It always is within you. Everything is happening within you. So all these people bringing up feelings for you and that are hurting your feelings, they're hurting your feelings so that you can understand your feelings, right? You have this beautiful energy of Mars, and it's our will, it's our ability to take action, and it's in Cancer. And so the Cancer energy is asking you to feel all these things and to get really upset so that you could actually do something about it. But you can't change anybody else. And that is where I think Pisces and Virgo have a really hard time, because the Virgo energy is like, I just want to change that person and then my problems will be better. But you can't change those people. You have to change. And when you change and you forgive people and you let go and you realize it's all happening divinely, your life becomes brighter. It becomes more magnificent. And so, yes, I am so sorry that whatever is happening to you is happening to you. I'm so sorry that you're feeling the way you're feeling, but your feelings are here to teach you something, and your feelings can help you heal. So everyone's hurt. Okay. Everyone's hurt. There's not a person in this world that is not hurt. You're hurt. I'm hurt. They're hurt. And so then we're all going around hurting each other, and we're blaming each other for our feelings. Oh, I feel this way because this person's making me feel this way. And it really does feel that way, except for this. If wasn't within you, those feelings, the person outside of you can't make you feel that way. And I also think what's so interesting is that if we know Venus, right, because we all know Venus, it's in Libra, and it's saying to you, okay, how are we going to balance this relationship with other people? How are we going to figure out how to be in relationship with other people? And how you do it is not needing to change anything about them. It's unconditional. How do you have unconditional love for people and allow people to accept each other for who they are and kind of see their oneness with us? And as long as we keep on separating ourselves and making everyone else wrong, we're not free. We're just not free. So we want you to feel free. We want you to surrender. We want you to be clean. Honestly, I can't say this enough, how important it is to be clean. That means to do no drugs, to not drink, to kind of be in your body, right? At this time. I mean, you think of this, I have like an issue with the whole Ram Dass thing, because Ram Dass was someone that was big into psychedelics. And so he said, okay, if you take psychedelics, you'll see this other world. And what he came to realize was that it actually hurt him more, because he would go on these psychedelics and then he would dip down. But once he learned to meditate and come back to himself, he had much more peace, because it was him creating that space. It wasn't something outside of him. And so here we are, we're all individuals learning to be here now, and to be okay with what's ever happening, because you cannot control the outside world. All you can control is how you react and what you make it mean. And we think about Pisces, and we think about what the ruler of Pisces is, and it's Jupiter, and it's making meaning. Jupiter, I'll say making meaning about your identity, right? So Leo, Jupiter's in Leo, and I'll say who you are, and who you are is truly a beautiful light. You're magnificent. You are magnificent. There's nothing to do to be magnificent, right? There's nothing to be. You're born and you're divine and you're perfect. And yet you want other people to see you're perfect, but you don't see yourself as perfect. And you want other people to accept you for who you are, and yet you don't accept people for who they are. And so there we are. That's the black and white of the Pisces Virgo axis. But this is what I do know. I do know that every single human being is a spiritual being having a very human experience. Full moons remind us of our humanness and our hurts and our pains. They do. And they also allow these feelings to come up so we could change, so we could grow, so we could be different than who we were yesterday. We could change our daily habits that don't work for us anymore. But if we don't see them, how do we change them? If we're not honest about what is happening in our life and allowing for what is, then how do we change it? Okay, so let's say I was married. Let's say somebody's married and they're really unhappy in their marriage. And so they go to the doctor, and the doctor gives them pills to say, okay, you just need some pills to take yourself to feel better. I'll say, okay. So the person takes the pills to feel better. I'll say, maybe there was something wrong with the marriage. Maybe that was not the marriage that they were supposed to be in, or it was not making them happy anymore. And so something had to change. And instead of actually looking at the problem and having a willing to communicate about it, we numb ourselves, or we drink, or we do something so we don't have to look honestly at ourselves. And I do think that's very much Virgo, is, are we willing to look honestly at our life and shine a light on our everyday life and what we do with it to make it better? And if we're not honest and we're not willing to look at it and consider it, nothing changes. We just keep on going through our day and we're unhappy. And I don't want that for you anymore. I want you to be happy. I want you to be joyful, which is very much Jupiter and Leo. How do I smile and have joy? How do I find my own inner light? And then we're going into the next nodal story, which is about that. It's how can you be your own individual self and love yourself enough that you don't need to be accepted by everybody? And so you're seeing this feeling coming up. And in order to get that right, in order to not care what everyone thinks, we better find something higher than us to believe in. And that's why if you're in the program, or if you've ever heard of AA, when you have to go off of a drug or alcohol, they're asking you to surrender and to find something higher than you. And there is something so much higher than you. There is this divine light within you. There is God within you. There is source within you. There is beauty within you that is perfect. And of course, you feel so black and white because you forget that source in your day-to-day life. You forget how you're connected to the divine. And that is so what Pisces wants you to remember. It wants you to, I always think it's so funny because the little glitch of the eclipse is, the north node is south facing almost, right? And it's like grounded, right? And I think, okay, how do you ground yourself into your spirituality? How do you sit on your tushy and say, oh my God, I want to connect to source energy. I want this energy of source within me. That's what your job should be over the next couple of days is how do I remember my own spirituality and my own source? And what is the spiritual being? Spiritual being is not needing it to be different than it is, to have acceptance and forgiveness and to allow. And so where we're not forgiving, it's only hurting you. And where we have judgments of everybody else and opinions about everybody else, it's only hurting you. And so let's use this Aquarius as the midpoint and as the breakthrough to understand what I'm thinking, letting go of these negative thoughts about myself or opinions about myself, letting go of negative thoughts about and opinions about other people, right? And trying to allow for this moment to just be what it is and not have the inner noise. Okay. So we have this inner noise in our head, right? It's like this mind that doesn't stop. And how about if you could allow the mind to stop and not keep on having it? So it's so interesting because I have a friend who noticed how brilliant the whole Gemini Virgo square is, and that they're both ruled by Mercury, right? And so, how do we just make our mind calm down a little bit so that it's a little bit better? And it is interesting because that they're squared each other because they are bothering each other. So the mind of the noise of the heads and the words are then bothering that idea of perfection. And we'll say, how about if I allowed these thoughts to not mean anything, don't make any meaning to them, because we could go across, right? I mean, think about the other point to this in Sagittarius. And although there's nothing in Sagittarius right now, making the point, let's use it and say, okay, how about if the thoughts come up and I don't put meaning to the thoughts and I just let them pass like clouds in the sky? I allow the thoughts to pass like clouds in the sky. I do not put meaning to them. And so I'm getting aware of this inner voice, this inner critic that's driving me crazy, right? I'm letting it go because it's on the south node, the Mercury, the mind, the sun in Virgo. I don't need to be perfect. I'm allowing what is in this moment to be okay. And I'm going to commit to make just improving things with the help of something higher than me. And I'm going to have a breakthrough. And so then the mind continues to make noise, and I'm going to come back to my seat, literally get on your tushy and sit, and then let it pass. And people say, oh, I'm not a good meditator. I'll say to you, I don't need you to be a good meditator. I need you to see that there's a running noise in your head that no longer wants to stay. It wants to be let go of. And so here, the south node on the sun, right? And the Mercury is asking you to let go of the noise in your head. And maybe the noise outside of your head too. People's opinions of you, judgments of you. It's none of your business what anyone thinks. And that's a whole other story of the nodal axis that we're going to be moving into. And so I better like myself. Thank you for liking yourself. Thank you for being okay. Thank you for having the courage to take responsibility for your life as it is, not as you wish it to be, right? There's this, it's okay. It's okay with where you're at. Nothing has to change for you to be happy. Nothing. Nothing has to change for you to be okay. Like it's just acceptance. And that is what the Pisces moon is asking you to do, is having radical acceptance and trust that there's something so much higher than you can't even imagine. You can't even imagine. And so here we are. Here we are. And we love you so much. And I'll say source loves you so much and spirit loves you so much. And I would love you to allow yourself to feel nourished and to be loved and not have to do anything to have that experience. And notice where you're trying to save anybody else, because you cannot save anybody else. The only person that can save themselves is you. You cannot save somebody else. So stop trying. Really, this is the biggest, honestly, right now, I think this is actually a very important part, right? Because you saw so many, so I always think this is so interesting as all this Cancer energy was going through and people drowning. And I'll say to you, may you save yourself and take care of yourself. And if you don't, you could easily drown. And we don't want that for you. We want you to trust, have faith, and see the oneness of it all and see your oneness with other people. And when we could really do Pisces well, we would love everybody with all our hearts. We would see that we're all just walking on this earth, trying to come back home. And that's a beautiful example of Mars and Cancer, coming back home to the self. And so you can't save anybody else. You have to have them go back and come back home to themselves. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of taking care of your energy every single day. And so let's do some actionable things that you can do, right, during this month, especially. But make your life a little bit better every day. Wake up in the morning, make your bed, try to exercise and move your body, do things that make you feel good, make things that are of service to not only you, but then help other people too, right? It's but always come from a place of doing it because not to fix anybody, because everybody's whole and you're just reminding everyone that they're whole, but do it because you want to do it. Yeah. You don't have to do as much as you're doing. Half the time, we get so lost in all the details that we forget to take care of ourselves. And I think that is what this Pisces moon is asking you to do. Come back to yourself and know that you're enough. And you're never going to know you're enough from outside of you. The only way you know you're enough is finding this connection to the divine, to spirit, to being of service. So we could look at the Virgo, to being of service when you can, to making a difference when you can. But the best way to make a difference in anybody's life is for you to be okay and well. You can't not take care of anybody else if you're not okay and well. And so I thank you for remembering your wholeness, for remembering your divinity. And I'll say sometimes the brightest lights have the darkest darks, and we can always come back to our light. We just have to be able to see it in a little bit of a different perspective. And so what you do with your day matters. I'll say staying clean matters. Stay clean. And if you've been getting messages to stop drinking, or if you have stopped drinking, because I've heard a lot of people over the last couple of weeks to stop drinking, I'll say amen to you. Hallelujah. Because we will never find this connection that we want and this wholeness where we want from using drugs outside of ourselves or from actually anybody else, because your heart and your love comes from within you. You're loved. So here is the truth. You are a divine being having a very human experience. And all you have to do is take one day at a time, one breath at a time, and know that you are divinely perfect and that you were born perfect and that you will die perfect. And in between, we have to find a way to come back to our oneness with Source so that we could remember our wholeness. And we don't need to look outside of ourselves to find it. All we have to do is come back home to our being. And it's honestly, as I look at this beautiful chart with a finger God pointing to the sun, be intentional with your days. Let go of the critic. and walk through life as a spiritual being, having a human experience, allowing for what comes up to come up and not needing to change anything for you to be happy, not needing anyone to be different for you to be happy, for finding your own light every single day because you're worth it. And so it is. And so happy eclipse season. May you have a breakthrough. May you connect to source, and may you make your day a little bit better each moment and doing the best you can. That's it. And you got this. You really got this. And your mind matters most of all. And so if there's noise in your head and thoughts in your head, it's just noise. It's just thoughts. There's no one there. There's no one there. I'll say thank you for breaking free from this mind chatter that exists in all of us. And that's why we don't want to get quiet, because we don't want to hear it. But if we're willing to get quiet enough and sit with it and let it pass, it'll teach us something really magnificent. And that's what mindfulness is. And that is a perfect example of what we could do at this beautiful, dark and light Pisces full moon in Virgo, is allowing the mind to pass, the thoughts to pass, and know that there's no truth in it. Or else it's messages of love and divinity. There is no messages that are true from the negative thoughts. They're just negative thoughts. That's it. So I leave you with this. Stop worrying about what anyone's thinking of you and pay more attention to what your thoughts are about them, and find something nice to think about them about. Say something nice about them. Say something nice in your head about them. Find something you appreciate and like about them, because it will help you feel better. It just will. So just don't worry about what they think of you. Be more worried what you think about them. That is the greatest message I could give you. And so it is. Sending you so much love and appreciation for watching this. And if you want, like it and follow me. But if you don't, that's okay too. We love you. Bye.